Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Well, this is just a little teaser of an upcoming video, but so we're not going to talk about these today, but I got various items to just discuss and take a look at. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's a quick one. Well, I thought I'd share something with you guys. That was pretty cool. My uncle just passed away in his early 90s. He's pretty much the last of the family lineage from that side of the family. And I thought I'd share this real quick. I think you'll find it interesting, and I'll go fast. So here's a picture of my great-grandfather, Thomas Walsh. And there's my great-grandmother, Carrie Walsh. Real quick, my great-grandfather immigrated from Ireland somewhere in the 1860s. Ended up in San Francisco and went into business in the liquor business. Ended up with 2 bars, and one of the bars located on Market Street was boasted as the longest straight bar in San Francisco back in the day. Well, they both burned down in the fire and earthquake of 1906. Thought that was kind of interesting, and here's a picture of my great-grandmother out of the newspaper, and duck shooting improves on the marshes. Well, they had a house, they built my great-grandmother wanted a shooting club, and it kind of describes here how they wanted to have a duck hunting place. And it was really, this is up in the Black Point area, which is across from San Francisco, across the Golden Gate. And so they ended up building a house there, and unfortunately she died when I was 2 years old. My sisters remember the house. They had been there, and let's see, I think we have a picture of the house. That's what I got this book out here for also. All these old pictures, there it is. So I think you can see that house there. I'm just turning my camera on to make sure. I'm going to bring it up close. So there's the house there. It was built in 1903, and the total cost of the house was $3,600 in change back in the time. And I guess it's still there. Growing up as a kid, we went to Black Point to a piece of property my father inherited, I guess, or my mother inherited from this family, but never did see that house in my memory. But anyway, the cool thing is that I wanted to share with you is this little booklet right here, Tom Walsh's Detailed Costs of Building the House at Black Point, 1906. And so this book's a little over 100 years old, and he listed all the things here, June 19th, 1903, and he, let's see, I can't read that. What did he pay? Looks like he paid $613 for the property, and looked like about a 5-acre parcel, I guess, is the way I'm reading it right now. And each of the costs were here: hauling lumber, chimney, the plumbing items, painting, wiring. You know, labor for, this was for the fencing, labor to put up the fence, put in the post, $10, fencing, $12. Their well, the whole well cost $463. Pretty interesting going through it. Here's painting, $28 to paint the whole place. House furnishings and yard work. Pretty cool. And in the end, he has a total, there's the total of everything, and he did a nice total, $3,335.69. Gotta love the handwriting back in the day. They always had nice handwriting. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. Pretty cool to come across this and a lot of other things we got in my uncle's possession as we went through it, photographs and things. So, well, I got this propped up, huh? You might be saying, well, what are these things here? And this is something I learned from our good buddy Tom Lipton. And let me move this a little bit. let's say this was a heavy piece of equipment and you're going to lift it. Well, typically you get a toe jack under it or a bar, and then you lift it a little bit, and you put something underneath it. Then you get a rebite, and then you put another piece underneath it, and you continue on adding pieces. Well, Tom showed me this when he helped me move one of my pieces of equipment. Is this wedge? You jack it up a little bit. You can slide the wedge in. Machinery sits down on it. Slide it more, slide it more, slide it more, slide it more. So you don't need a whole assortment of blocks and 2x4s. You have these wedges that are multiple they can adjust to infinity, right, until you get to the top. So I made two sets, one out of a 4x6 and one out of a 4x4. So I get a little bit taller here, depending upon the equipment. I'm not planning on moving any equipment real soon, but we just started framing at the site, and so fresh lumber, and I thought I would make myself and share this with you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Well, I'd mentioned that my great-grandfather's couple of bars that they had got burnt down in the 1906 earthquake, and this book was amongst other things that came from my uncle. This is The City That Is, Story of Rebuilding San Francisco in 3 Years. This book, I think it's an original, I think that comes through. Whoop, sorry about that. Printed in 1909, and I've tabbed just a couple of things here just to talk about real quick. Let's see. The earthquake and fire in 1906, 514 city blocks had been swept clean from the fire. 3,000 acres of ground, more than 4 square miles, had been denuded of all the buildings. 28,000 buildings were destroyed. 5,000 of them were steel, stone, and brick. The remainder wood frame. Half of these buildings were occupied by manufacturers. The other were dwellings. After 3 days and 2 nights, the destructive fire pretty much wiped the place out. The homeless people were the new builders of the property, and it was a refreshing leap. It took 3 years to rebuild the city in 1909. Here's my next little thing here to show you. One of the biggest issues was clearing it, and it was basically all done with horses. And the horse was the biggest issue back then. Going real quick here, it said inventors got busy inventing devices for shoveling and loading, steam and electricity. It was simple enough for temporary railroad tracks to happen to run across the edge of your lot, and cranes could lift the debris and dump into bins and get it out. But if you were far enough away, you'd swap your kingdom for a horse. Nevertheless, did horses play a bigger heroic part. The horses gave more to the work than the men. They gave their great strength. The first year and a half witnessed the deliberate sacrifice of lives of 15,000 splendid horses. Best horses that money could buy. Pretty sad. They were talking about the work that the horses did, you know, pulling debris out of basements and things. They basically, team owners, they got a good span of horses, were worth about $800, $900. Terrific climb up steep inclines. But yeah, pretty sad. Pretty interesting book, but I thought I'd show you here this is the daily wage. Carpenters got $4, electricians got $5, plumbers $5, hod carriers, everybody was $4 to $5. It was pretty interesting, and it said never were apprenticeships served so quickly. A typical hod carrier kept his eyes open and looked at what was happening around him, and on his day off he'd go stand next to a bricklayer for 8 hours, and then the next day he was a bricklayer. Pretty interesting book. all sorts of photographs of the new buildings that were built back then, back in the early 1900s, in that 3-year span. Pretty amazing. Anyway, I thought I would share that with you. Okay, how many of you guys know what these are? They're not Texas fart mufflers, okay? Let me put something together real quick and I'll demonstrate it. I saw this on another guy's channel the other day, and it's a very helpful tool, you'll see. And I immediately went and purchased the whole package. I don't know that I'll ever use this size, but the whole package was so inexpensive, I bought them all. But let me show you how they're used. Okay, what those tools are for is for this flexible sleeving that you see in cars all the time. And I had to tell you, I had to go out and buy these. I looked around to show you guys a demonstration of this. I was excited I got the tool. I threw all my stuff away because I hate it. It's such a bitch, if you've ever done it, to go ahead and peel this open and fish your wires in. It is a pain. So here's how this tool works. I'm excited, and I don't have a wiring job coming up. So insert the tool in the end there. You run your wires through. Turn it. Come on, something a bit. Turn it so it locks your wires in, and all you got to do is go like that. Look at that. I saw that and I went, that's just too sweet. I'm gonna have to go wire something. So anywho, I thought I would share that with you. I bought these from wirecare.com. I saw it on Finnegan's Garage. I really like watching his channel. He's a boat drag racer, car fabricator. Does some really nice builds. Anyway, thought I'd share that with you. New tool in the shop here that I think is going to be very useful. Well, you might recall in a previous video, my friend Wilton, I think it was called, or my old Wilton Vice from the 1970s came back into my possession for my buddy Chewy. And it's been a while. I needed to get it remounted. It's sitting on a grinder cabinet where it used to sit. And it's nothing that I really reef on. It's just for setting up tools and things in here. Maybe a couple of cuts with a hacksaw. But I thought while I was remounting it, I had to drill some holes. So I'd show a comparison between the Banggood set that I had picked up and then a Irwin step bit. One of the questions you might think was, why do you need 5 step bits when you already have 1? Well, the nice thing about this package is that you can see there's different diameters and lengths, and not always can you use a big guy like this, depending upon how close you're going into a cabinet or what have you. So anywho, I thought I'd show you the both of the large ones in use for just a little comparison. And my old friend Wilton is back in place, and I'm a happy boy. This is a 5-piece set from Banggood, and I've already used the smaller of the bits to drill a couple of holes here, and it performed real well. So I thought, what the heck, let's do a little test between an Irwin bit and their largest bit. And you can see the difference is the steps are a little different there. These are smaller, the steps. But I got 2 holes to punch. Let's see if there's any real difference between the two. Okay, first one will be the Irwin bit. Irwin. worked well. All right, let's try the Bang Good. Don't know the manufacturer of this. There's no name. Get it in that center hole. I think you guys are on it. Let's give it a shot. One more step. Nice. Well, what did that tell us? Told us to drill the hole. No damage to the tip. Like I mentioned, I drilled the previous holes with the other one. This one was where it was rigid. This one was out where it was a little more flexible. But let's look at the price comparison between the two. Forgot to mention, this is 14 gauge sheet metal that we're drilling through. Well, I got one last item to show you. Stopped over my buddy Carl's, and he was going to get rid of these units right here, and they are basic BASSICK cast iron floor locks, FB 400s, and these are for castered items. When you need a foot brake, you press down on the foot brake, if I can do it without pinching my fingers, and you can see it comes up and it locks. So the weight would be pressing down and you'd have a brake. I'm not going to recollapse it because I'll pinch my fingers again. But anyway, he gave me 4 of these, and hopefully somewhere in the future they'll come in handy. I do have one on my hydraulic lift table. I don't know if it's a basic or not though. But anyway, thought I'd show you those. They're here in the warehouse for a future project. And 4 casters also.